Excuse me. Did you kick her out?
Is life back to is life back to normal now?
Yeah, as normal as it can be, I suppose.
Yeah, same.
What you got going on?
No, she left, but yeah. No, I've done a lot of things today. After this space, I have something to do as well. But you know, when I have like an entire list of things you just want to go through and do, uh, and get 3 free days to just do that, then there is no rest. Like I'm not
Yeah.
gonna rest until I'm done. I need that reward feeling of like, the only time I can be actually creative is when I've finished all the tasks, because then all of the things in the river has been cleaned up, so the river can flow as free as possible. And sometimes there's a lot of things, but almost finished. I have this space, and then I'm gonna go through like one or two more things, and then it's done.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. This is
It's
the
one
third day.
it's one of those things you got to make sure you're working as hard for yourself as you are for other people, especially on that quote unquote free time.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like hard work
Yeah.
for oneself, like never stopping. Like you write your book, bro. That's crazy.
Yeah, man.
You're writing a book. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just about not done, but I mean, like, I have like a first draft just about finished up. I gotta do like a rounding, like a closing chapter, like a what you just read kind of thing.
Yeah.
I forget what kind of content I'm
Yeah,
making.
man. How many chapters have you written now?
10. But I
10?
mean, each one's only
That's a
about
lot.
2 pages. You know what I mean? Like, well, two typed pages. Like, I'm sure if I double space it and increase the font size, I can make it take up 2 or 3 pages. But I wanted it
Yeah.
to be like you could read any chapter, and any chapter will be a lesson. But like if you read it all the way in a row, it's kind of like almost a course on how to become influential, I guess, without
Yeah.
without being a
Yeah.
fake KOL.
No. People don't know what things mean. Like you should learn how to teach others, because then you get better yourself. You're not working against God then.
Yeah, 100%. Like letting him build that out through you is important. Understanding like when I don't know. For me, I'm almost never in charge. I kind of just put it up in his hands, which I know sounds ridiculous, but it really is the easier way to live. Like because all you have is the moment that you're in, the space that you're at. Like you have this very second. Anything after that is projected. So you might as well let him help you project what the fuck's gonna happen, or have him do it. You just sit there and participate, and know when you don't
Yeah.
participate. A lot of the times you just have to wait for him to handle. You do your part, and then the rest of the shit's not in your timeline, but he still got to do stuff.
Yeah. Exactly. And just accept that and stuff. Isn't it weird that, yeah, no, no, I'm not gonna say that. I'm not saying that. Not yet. I haven't unlocked that part. Like I gotta earn that part first. I gotta go through it myself. Uh so yeah, it's not done yet. But I'm almost there. Some things I can't say until I've educated myself enough on it. And that's how you can see which level you are a little bit. That's like one parameter. So I'm soon there, very soon, but not now.
Yes, showing that
Not now.
restraint is important though, because thinking you're there when you're not is how you prevent yourself from ever getting there. I think like the biggest hurdle to knowledge isn't the lack of knowledge; it's the acquisition of false knowledge or the belief that you already have a knowledge.
Yeah, it's like
I think we just oh, good.
no, it's like people's egos are in the way of everything flowing.
Exactly. We have to get used to being stupid. Like it's okay to be dumb. I mean, it's not okay to be dumb, but it's okay to be dumb. You know what I mean? Like the fact that we are dumb is okay. It's not okay to remain there, but it's okay that we are there. Like that's where we start until we acquire the knowledge. So that's not like you're I don't know. Some people think not having knowledge puts you at a lower point. It doesn't. It puts you at an earlier point, and it's I don't know. I feel like the way we look at the time of the beginning is different.
Yeah, now is the last time you've grown this much, you know, then every second.
That's a good way to put it. What did Levanda say to me today? He said something to me today that blew my mind this morning. I got to go back to that message because it was such a simple statement that was, he was saying it almost as a joke. And then when we got into the conversation about it, I was like, oh, I fucking love this guy.
Yeah, life creates itself forward at all times. Everything always becomes two, 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 or yeah,
Were
something
you,
like that.
were you on my space this morning?
No,
Oh, all right. Well, some weird stuff happened with a guy who was there. It was some nonsense, but I had gotten in an argument with somebody about the way they behaved on the space, trying to correct what they were doing. And then I got in a conversation with Levanda about it to say, like, bro, can they really be that stupid? Like, am I wrong for trying to instill this? And he writes back, he goes, I don't like to say it, but they won't be functional if they get enlightened. And then we went into the difference between enlightening people and educating people. Like some people you should just educate because they need the information to do what you need them to do. But if they're enlightened, they'll no longer be functional for what you need them for because the more enlightened you are, the less you're going to do because the less you have to do once you really know what's going on. So if they're enlightened, they won't be functional. So that was a fucking mind-boggling statement for the morning because I'm sitting there trying to change this guy's. I'm not even trying to change his behavior. I'm trying to get him to see what the behavior is that can be misinterpreted, and the whole. I don't know, like because I don't really care. But the fact that I'm taking time to tell you this isn't because I'm looking down on you. It's because I'm trying to educate you on how perception works out there. And I don't know. I just got fed up, and Lavanda's at least intelligent enough to calm me down because he could usually speak smarter than me, and that's better because then I'm thinking I need to be educated when I'm mad because that's the only reason I'm mad is because I don't know how to fix the problem, and I think that's a like I can see that there is a problem, and the not knowing how to fix it is the part that creates the anger or the dissonance in that direction.
that's good though. That's a good direction.
I agree. It's progressive at least. It's not degressive, congressive.
You
It's not.
should be paranoid. You should use that paranoia. I have that paranoia all the time.
Is he paranoid?
Like I have to do this. Yeah, I have to do this. I have to do this. Otherwise, my competitors will do this before me. I have to do this. I have to do this. That's how my mind goes. Like I can't stop.
Yeah, I don't think that's paranoia. That's preparation. You know what I mean? That's the knowledge that other people are more determined than you are if you're not the one doing it. I mean, like that's
Yeah, that's the same. I think I really think that's the same inside of God. I really think that's paranoia. Like some other energy is getting ahead of me. I will die. They will win. That's really it. You know.
yeah, but I don't know if that's like paranoia is just like a negative thing. That's when you expect it and it's not actually happening. I think that, like you said, that's from within God. That's a real thing. That is really happening. So that's not paranoia. It's the same behavior if you were wrong, but if you're right, is it still paranoid?
Let's say it's the unknown.
There you go. The unknown. I'll get that.
Yeah.
It's definitely on the fear side of the spectrum for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't think it is fear because there's truth behind it.
Yeah. Are we looking for the walls inside of our brain where this energy bounds? Is that what we're looking for? Like the greed, the lust, the fear. Those three are very humans are driven by those.
Yeah.
In all three directions. So I think that's like what we're looking for.
I think because
Fear.
in effect they're similar to love chemically. You know what I mean? Like the completion happens there, or they're that desire. Like it's not actual love because love brings that completion, but the desire I think is the word. Like lust. Lust I think that's the one I struggled with the most because women are fucking evil because they're just so damn pretty. But I think they're all close to love in feeling, but in action and result they're not, and that's why that's considered the sins or the evil because it tricks your brain into thinking that's what it wants. I'm not sure what I'm talking about. This is better than I thought it was. So
No, you're right. That's it, man. And it's confusion. Like if you have the entire image of God and have studied Him for years, then you would see that everything is like supposed to happen that way. What were we talking again about again? Uh,
I don't remember, but I did. I tell you I found yesterday. I'm reading the Bible like the third time through, and then Proverbs again. Proverbs 34. There's I don't remember exactly who they say is saying it, but he says he needs to know his name and that of his son. Speaking of God and his son, so that means the concept of Jesus was actually mentioned in the Old Testament. Not that that means anything, but it kind of blew my mind that they did say they wanted to know the name of the Lord and his son. So just a thought. So shout out Casket for making me read the Bible because I was looking for another argument point, and then I found that and was like, oh, that's even better. They do mention it there.
you haven't read it?
But the Bible, I've read it twice. This is now my third time through. But what's cool is the more times you read something, like the first time, you're just gonna get the words. Like obviously, we all had like our grandparents told us the stories. If you're Christian, like you hear the
I
fucking the manger
disagree.
story.
I think if you have literature from other places and bring it like you've read for a long time before you come to the Bible, I think then you will like be able to see, oh, this is just another perspective, you know.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Is like the first time I read it, it was just reading words. It wasn't the same. Now this time I'm reading it with understanding, and it's a very different read. Especially since the second time through, you get the storyline better because now you can remember the names. Like you'll know who Nebuchadnezzar is. You'll know where Moab and all that shit was going down. Like not that you'll know it, but it'll make more sense on the third time because now you're not worried about remembering the words because now you know which words were places, which words were names. Because like the first time you read an older Bible, it's not fluent English. It's old English. It's very measured. You kind of have to take your time with it. And the more times you read through it with an extra layer of understanding, the less work your brain is doing on the figuring out of the story and the more it's doing on the message behind the story. You know what I mean? Like let's say you were at you ever read Game of Thrones? If you read Game of Thrones, that's tough as shit just to even keep the names in order. So if you read a chapter twice, the second time you read it through, it just sits better because now you can tell who's who and the storyline. I don't know. The more times you read it, the more chances you have to pick up on the part that you weren't either hyper focused on because you thought that was the important part, or I don't know. I feel like the first time you can't understand, you can just intake, and then I don't know, you can pick it apart if you actually sit there and dissect it and do it section at a time. But I didn't. I sat in jail and fucking read through the Bible kind of just to prove that I could. And the second time was probably about 5 years ago, and then I read it because I thought I should. And now I'm reading it because I want to. Now I've read so much stuff that I'm like triggered to say, oh, you know what? I was reading in Ruth. They were saying blah blah blah. I should probably read that story again to see if maybe I missed something. And especially with more psychological knowledge, now I can see when they're showing you a personality trait or a spirit represented by a human because it's all a story. Like that's really what it is. It's the greatest story ever told, right? That's the books of the Bible. It's multiple books that we decided to keep. So there's got to be more in there than just the surface level story. And for me, reading it more helps. That's also why I like Casket, but he latches on too much to thinking what he's reading is gospel. Like I read the Bible as a book. I think it's a great book, great lessons, probably some accurate history in there, obviously some nonsense too, but there's some kind of message within there. The holding on to like that, not one word has changed, blah blah. That's just weird to me. That feels like you indoctrinated instead of educated. I don't know what I'm babbling
Yeah.
about, Ed. You can shut me up.
Yeah, that is everything is indoctrination. Everything that is a construct is an indoctrination. Everything single data set you add to your mental framework becomes indoctrination. And yeah, the only way is to be still and listen.
Yeah, that small, still voice. That is 100% correct.
Yeah, be still and know that I am God, you know?
Amen. A
Yeah,
fucking.
yeah. Then the suffering disappears too.
Yeah, and that's a weird thing to explain to people who are in the midst of suffering. Because you know that what's your name? The one her last says like heavenly angel is the last part of it. She's going through some stuff, and while you're going through it, it's so hard to mentally separate and just go, all right, this is an experience I need to go through. Because usually it's some fucking tragic shit. It took some real tragedy to get me to fucking slow down and pay attention to what was going around me. I was not a victim to what was going on around me. I not projected it. Like, I mean, there's no other way to say it. Like, you try to say that you're not, but you do project your own reality, whether you realize it or not. Everything that's in your life is based on your own choice. or you're a victim of somebody else's reality and they're making it, and that's kind of your own fault too, unless you're a child, and that's why we're supposed to protect children. But as an adult, it's your fault, fellas. Fucking
Yeah, completely. Yo, we have Rendezvous Zygology on stage. What's up? How are you today?
Yeah, I'm going to comment on the things in the Bible because there is like nice things in the Bible. Because in the Bible, like they tell us what herbs we should like take to get well, and this is accurate. This is 100% perfect what they tell us in the Bible about herbs. But again, the Bible has been changed so many times. First, it was changed like in the 400s after Christ, and then of course it was changed again, like in the 1700s. And of course, there is no God again in the Bible. That is, God doesn't exist in the Bible anymore. It is like erased because the governments want to rule our nation. Governments want to rule the nation. When Constantine was the ruler, Constantine was the ruler in year 400, and he changed the Bible. And then, of course, we were too rebellious, so we didn't have like the boundaries that we should have had. And then, of course, they changed it again in the 1700. That's why they call it the Dark Ages. Because they don't want us to remember how the Bible was from 1700 and to the 400th century, because it was different. And nah, that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, now we're back. Talking on mute, so let's go. No, yeah, I hear you. Like, what I see when you explain this was that information disappears the longer time goes, which is fine, you know.
do you think it's actually fine though? Because I think that's almost the problem, is that the information is not protected. And I mean, if you go back to the like the whole Cain and Abel thing, like the granary created the wall created the law created the, like, you know what I mean? Like all these things became in place because we were trying to have storage, and then we had to write down the information so it got passed down accurately. Had it been passed down just, I mean, accurately, we'd be able to be in good shape. I think. I think the fact that it's lost is why we're lost. Like we didn't have to even have storage at one point. We were just fucking. We would collect manna from the sky, I think is the way they worded it the first time. Now some Bibles say bread from the sky, however you want to word it, but it was basically meant we were like in alignment with God, that we didn't need to have our own storage. We didn't need to worry about things like that because it was provided for us. But once we decided to take control was where the information got changed because it was written down. Like without it being written as a law, we would have conversations and be able to drive the narrative forward just conversationally. But once you write it down, there needs to be somebody to say, okay, this is the rules. We all refer to that, making the document God as opposed to relationship with God. God.
So I just think we should evolve with this, anything that is happening. And if we forget something, fine. It's not yours to take care of, you know?
That's kind of how I think it should be, but do structures come out of that? Like, does there have to be some kind of organized discipline in order for this to happen? Because I like to believe there's enough builders that things would still get built without somebody forcing them to build it. But I mean, a lot of the times, the ones who are creative are not the ones who construct, and that causes a an imbalance of power. And then a way to get somebody to do it is manipulations or controlling resources or Because humans suck. We want to be in charge of. We want to manifest. And if you can make other people do your work for you, you will, assuming there's no law preventing you from it. I think. I mean,
Do you think Jesus controlled others?
no, I believe that he behaved similar to the way I do, that he spoke in truth and people were inspired by his words. I also believe he had to have been a prophet, like truly connected to God. Probably as weird as we are when it comes to the wanting to read and understand yourself, but I don't know. I believe the Christian beliefs. I still have a hard time saying he was anything more than what another human could pull off. I think Christ is a frequency you can achieve. That being said, Jesus saves. I know it definitely makes a difference. I don't think that could have been his name. It could have been Yeshua. It could have been something like that. But I don't think any of that matters. I think people worry so much about that they miss the point of what you're supposed to do to become in alignment.
Yeah, exactly. Perfecto. Yo, we have Renda's hand up once more. What's up?
Yes, I want to comment that, but because you're talking about the Bible, no? And what is true and what is not true. And of course, they used the Bible to manipulate the masses to like do what they wanted to do in the time that they wanted to do that. And of course, that wasn't enough. So now and then we have the mass media doing the church work. The mass media are telling us about the news, and then we are supposed to accept that, no? And in that time, about like religion and Jesus and everything, they did manipulate so much. Good people got killed because they used the herbs that was in the Bible against illness, and they were called a witch, and that they were sacrifices to the Inquisition, no? From the early 1400. The last witch was born in the 1800s here. So they burned a lot of witches for doing exactly what the Bible told us to do. But it's with the Bible, there's been it's been a manual for leaders. It's been a manual to control us, and that's what it's been now. And I understand now that doesn't work. I have to figure out something else because we do not believe in it anymore. And somebody believes because, of course, there's a God. Of course, there is a God. This God is not what they told us that it was. This God functions in another matter that the Bible like tells us that it will function. But when we like pray, I think everybody should pray. I think everybody should do that. We'll find our way to the source, and this is what is important. Thank you.
Yeah, I also think praying is important, whether it's in the form of a meditation or anything in that direction to get the mind right completely. Um, and yeah, the subconsciously, that is like, especially in the beginning of the day, the first thing we attach our survival instincts to is a meditation or a prayer that's more powerful than not doing it, I would say. Which is well, yeah. Let's leave it at that. Let's do that, not the other way around. Yo, we have Matt on stage as well. How are you today, brother Matt?
What's up, Edge? Mic check. Can you guys hear me all right? I'm using a new headset.
Yes, sir.
Dope. Dope. Hope you guys are having a good one. FYI, you two been sharing some love via Kwai and Soul, thanks to Kipper Money. So appreciate everything you guys are doing. Pretty cool that I can actually do that now directly on X. So you guys have seen me in your replies. That's what that's about. Wanted to comment briefly on something Rendezvous said. Let's see here. Setting spirituality aside, huge fan of spirituality. World and life and the universe is a giant mystery, and huge fan of exploring that. I kind of look at some of the things she mentioned as just a natural evolution of how humanity chooses to organize itself, right? So just focusing on the West for a moment, in the times in the land when the Pope crowned kings, life sucked. Even if you were king, you were hoping for a better afterlife at the end of the day, and so that's why, frankly, religion was at the top of the social hierarchy there. And yes, agreed, they did use the fact that people could not read or write to rule them via the text that I think we all know now was highly edited and manipulated. Just go look up the Book of Enoch and everything that's in there. So since then, what typically happens is over time, we all get a little bit more intelligent. Our lessons get passed down to future generations. Those future generations acquire more capacities and capabilities. And then eventually, the towers that, we erected and gave credibility to become no longer useful. And in fact, an absolute hindrance to our continued growth and progression as a society, a community, etc. So that's when you have peeps like Martin Luther King, going around with his tablets on why the Catholic Church is actually perverse and not holy, and using imagery, aka NFTs, if you will, to express what real holiness or sacredness actually is. And then we end up in a place where the Spanish king with his Inquisition decides to park his allegiance with the Catholic Church and go to war with the heathens, aka those prostitutes and other heathens out there in Amsterdam, and eventually they lose, and we usher in a society of capitalism via the Dutch East Indies Trading Company, and this concept of states and nation states, etc. So I think, generally speaking, humanity's been on this journey to constantly evolve the way it organizes itself and achieves utility for the maximum number of people. Over time, those people acquire new capacities and need to tear down the old towers, erect new ones to fill in the gaps that they can't solve individually, right? So things like stock markets or states and nation states, democracies, if you will. And I think we're entering into a new time with, not just crypto, but AI on top of it, where people, call it the age of the internet, moving into the age of AI and energy, are realizing they don't need the current structures that we have erected, and are constantly seeking ways to either destroy them outright or get around them. So to round out all these thoughts, that's kind of why I think it was natural for the church to rule and eventually become corrupted. But we're going to keep evolving. Things are going to keep getting better. There's always, a darkness before the dawn, and spirituality has always been on the table. The universe is a mystery. We're not solving that anytime soon. And so, that's kind of like, in my opinion, two separate conversations.
Yeah. Did you mean separate conversations as in like spirituality is not on the outside of our bodies, or what was the angle
Oh,
there?
just talking about the text, right? So if we talk about like the Bible as text used to control people or define what spirituality should be, one conversation is about using spiritual texts as a way to control people. Another conversation is using it to define what spirituality should be.
Oh, so that's like two texts that is in there, and they explain those two things separately.
Now, one text used for two different things, right? Like, so you can read the Bible and find spiritual truth in it, or you could use the Bible to control others. And to me, those are two separate conversations.
Oh,
Hopefully that makes sense.
yeah, 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 exactly. Yeah. So first, my mind goes first towards the way we force things to build into existence. Like when we force ourselves, we're not in complete alignment with all of the energies flowing through us. We put a lot of resistance towards it. But if we go the path of self knowledge and with the intention to not hurt others, but to flow with him, then that's the direction that doesn't have these unnecessary resistances, and you will grow like with life, or let it flow really as it should. There's no suffering there either. We talked about this earlier. uh, but yeah, that's the thing. Like most people do force themselves to like do things, and then they're working against God, um, which is very painful comparison, but they don't know the other side, really. I mean, people get glimpses of it every now and then, but they're like accidental. And that's the bliss state, like forgetting everything and just being like in total harmony. You can like practice that with meditation and stuff, you know. But yeah, using it against others, that's like operating from a state of lack too, that there isn't enough abundance in the universe, which is not true. It is true if you believe it, but it's not true if you don't believe it. So it's a choice. And yeah, everything is really a choice when it comes down to it. We can only direct this current we've been given and move in a certain direction, like
Well,
that we want
I'll
to from
just
where we are
highlight,
right now.
something that, to me is evidence that it's kind of natural, right? Like if we can do a little thought experiment here and put ourselves in the time of like tribes, like tribal humanity, right? There, resources are, observed to be scarce. We have a limited number of hunters, a limited number of gatherers, and losing any of these resources risks, the survival of the entire tribe, right? So you have things like shamans or priests or whomever who kind of use, you can call it spirituality or religion or, just myth in general, to kind of lay down some basic laws that everybody, agrees to follow in order for the tribe to be successful and continue to grow, right? Think of like the Ten Commandments, incredibly useful in, a tribe that is struggling to survive in the desert, right? And so it grows from there. It's, text and canon that the tribe uses and depends on to continue to organize itself and grow. At a certain point, um, it might not be as useful anymore. But because we've kind of erected this tower around that canon, um, it's gotta evolve. It's gotta like come down and take a new shape. And so I think that's where it comes from naturally. And so if you can imagine a tradition of people who have protected and interpreted and proselytized that canon since the dawn of time, they are, they're all powerful, and they probably don't want to give up that power. So there's a struggle there. So hopefully that helps explain like why I think this is just a natural progression.
Yeah, it was a very long speech. I did lose you like halfway, but better to say that than to lie. So, but that was a good speech, and let's take questions if anyone has any. Doc, I know that you're alive and you're at home and you have filed paperwork. How is that going?
It is going pretty well. I just finished that paperwork. I'm waiting for my my next delivery of ink. I don't really have any questions. I thought that was pretty well said. And now that we've gotten so far away from it, it's been like 45 seconds. I forgot what we were fucking talking about already. So
Yeah, same. But the thing is, like, this is not you, Matt. This is like me and Doc also, obviously, because we forget things sometimes. So that's fine. But there was a very good speech. Like, it was very good. Like the feeling, like that you gave through emotion, right? That was very very good. Like it's us. It's not you. Uh, you
Oh, no
know.
sweat. I wanted to comment on what Rendezvous was saying because I super aligned with Doc on his last comments. So she brought up the Bible being used to control people and affect violence on others. And, so to me, it's natural progression. We have grown well past it at this point, and spirituality is now in a place where individuals are free to explore without needing a direct connection to the church through the pastor. They can read the Bible for themselves. They can read the Kama Sutra, whatever your flavor is, right? So that's a good place to be at. But using the Bible to, control and organize people is, in my opinion, a separate conversation entirely.
yeah, I agree 100%. I feel the same way with the Quran, or even any fundamentalist religion that uses the book as the book is not your savior. The book is not the words of God because a human wrote them. Is there a message in there? Is that spiritual, and is there valuable information there beyond measure? Of course, use it accordingly, but don't worship the book because the book is man-made. The stories are God inspired for sure. They're probably truly divine stories and divine writings, but they are writings, so they are still a human's interpretation of it. And even like when Jesus spoke, also remember, Jesus did not write anything in the Bible. He spoke, these are people's accounts of what he said. And even the things he said, he spoke in parables. So those, and not everybody who says, Lord, Lord, is going to come in. So not everybody even knows what they're talking to. Like, so everything that the church is teaching you about the Bible being the important part, it's not. The practice of reading is important. The self-discovery is important. And those are great stories to read to get yourself into that spiritual mindset. Like, and even the characters within them will show the archetypes of humanity. Like that. I don't know where I'm going. I feel like I'm preaching. I'm not supposed to be preaching
Oh
right
yeah.
now.
Good stuff, Doc. Very very good stuff. And I don't think that the Bible is for getting to know what God looks like on the biggest scale. It's more like you see it in everything because you're inside of the energy that is in motion, emotion through you, electrical impulse, a lot, Buddha, you know. So you can start to see these things when you study this, and I don't think it's supposed to know the entire thing. You're supposed to feel and how you're. It's an explanation, a way of explaining like how you can move and how you're supposed to move inside of you with the least resistance. Like study every. Like the Bible is like designed a certain way. Like you can study things around you too. Like you don't have to be in the book. You can look at life, real life situations and stuff, and be like draw similarities to the Bible, see this and that. Like you will feel the truth. You will feel the truth.
That's an important
That's
thing to
felt.
know too, is that when the book was written, that was the only source of information to tell stories. Right now, you've seen more shit on YouTube in, I don't know, the last 3 days than information is in the Bible. You know what I mean? Like there's so much access to information that the Bible is important because it was preserved. I mean, these guys didn't go write, like, scribble on a piece of paper and type and shoot off emails. It took like a lot of time to actually scribe out their stories, and some of these things were like chiseled into stone. Like they didn't just go write a quick story and like, oh, that lasted. I feel like there's a lot of effort to make sure that information made it everywhere. But now that any bit of information can make it everywhere, it's not as, not that it's not as important. It's not as special. Like, I mean, technically, you
So
can
it
get all the
creates
information that's in the Bible out of a Google.
it kind of creates like a new confusion is my take on that. Like definitely a better place to be where we can communicate pretty much anything we want at the speed of light around the world to everybody instantly. But when that power is available to everybody, we, in my opinion, I kind of call it this confusion of values, right? Like we can communicate the information, but we don't necessarily have a great way to communicate the values, right? And you know, you could look to perhaps like if you're an economist or you're into that, you could look to like markets as a way of determining value. But when our money is as corrupted as it is and only getting worse, that's not a good way of communicating value, right?
I agree.
So it's actually really interesting stuff, guys. I love these spaces. Really appreciate you guys hosting these and letting me share my thoughts. One last thing I wanted to share on some of the things I was talking about earlier, that kind of like helped me wrap my mind around, some of the, I guess, history pertaining to like religion and texts is a book uh, of some writings from an old French philosopher called Rene Girard. I don't know if you guys have heard of him. The book is called Things Hidden Since the Foundation of the World. And he does that thought experiment where you go back to, tribal man and how human behavior has kind of basically created these myths and why it was necessary to erect canon and priests or shamans to help lead the tribes out of at least the initial ages of mankind. Super interesting stuff and kind of controversial if you subscribe to the traditional academic archaeologist view of the world. He dives deep into like why human sacrifice was a thing in certain tribes and societies. Super interesting. Highly recommend at least checking out the cliff notes.
Ed, do you mind if I tag Derek in here? Do you know who Derek Bros is?
Yeah.
I do not know.
All right, he's got a whole writing on the Cain and Abel split and why that had to happen. Like, it wasn't because Cain was evil; it's because Abel's offering was that of, I think they call it vapor and storage. Like, Abel's lifestyle was like, it was the first blood of the lamb. It was all sacrifices that came from the land. Whereas Cain's was all storage. It was the grain. It was the first 10% of the money they brought in. So Cain had to kill Abel in order for the structures we live within now to happen, because that breaks the direct contact with God, and it makes it so we were in control of resources. And because we had the grain, we had the silo. Because we had the silo, we had the wall. Because we had the wall, we had the guard. Because we had the guard, we had the law. Because we had the law, we had the priests. Blah 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 blah. And it goes on, and that's kind of how everything kind of spreads out from there. But he's got,
That's super interesting.
yeah, it's cool as shit. And he's
Yeah,
got,
like if you want to, like I'm sure I can understand those things in my language, but I understand a little bit of that, but like every single language, like even selling, you can understand if you just translate it to spirituality, you know. So
Yeah,
that's what I mean. I
but
gotta learn that language, but I'm sure I would understand it if I did understand it, you know.
Well, this guy's French, and it was originally written in French, and so we're all reading translations, right? To your point,
No,
Edge, go out
I
in the world and experience it for yourself.
yeah, no, yeah, bro. No, I mean, when reading even in English, sometimes you talk in a certain way. Let's say you talk with images, like the Bible, for example, and then like someone that hasn't read the Bible doesn't understand that, but they understand the universal laws because they've studied them elsewhere, and tied things together, and then they hear these images and they just fit perfectly. Like, but sometimes it takes a while to see the entire context of an entire new language, even though both are in English. It's like ways of explaining it, or different industry ways of explaining it. Perhaps is a good way of saying it. Yeah, I think so. Museum way of explaining it, the Bible, and then we have what's that? The Kybalion, the engineer way of explaining it. Two completely different things. Not really, but no, it's actually the same. But on lower planes, it's different things. On higher planes, everything is the same. Because it's one eventually. I mean, it's infinite too. But yeah, where what? How do they define craziness again?
I know they define insanity, but
Repeating the same thing, expecting a different result.
yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Oh yeah.
insane. That's insanity. There is another explanation too. I don't remember it. Um, yeah, what did you say? Like, trying the same thing over and over, but expecting a different result. Yeah.
That's insanity. That's like when somebody's insane.
Oh yeah, and also like when someone is attached to things outside of themselves, but the answer is inside. That's also insanity, I think.
I think that's derangement, or there's actual like names for them. We all use them interchangeably. We call people crazy all the time, but there's specific kinds of crazy. Like, 'cause there's different, either they call them breaks in the brain, but to me it's just like different operating systems, or maybe they just function slightly different. But I don't know. But there's definitely like mania is it's probably chemically induced from the brain, but it's definitely a different way your brain starts performing, as opposed to even like depression or uh what's the other ones? You have like psychosis, schizophrenics, people who hallucinate. You get those who delirious. Then you get the
Swedish.
Swedish. You got the fucking Swedish ones. Those you got to watch those guys.
Yeah. They're crazy for real. Oh, this has been a good space, guys. Bro, should we go to the Discord?
Yeah, probably safer in there. You guys are more than welcome in the
Yeah.
Discord. I'm sure that fucking chat room's open for everybody. So meet us in there.
Hey,
Let's
I
go.
just picked up a delusional. I'm gonna
Hell
pat
yeah.
myself on the back for that one because I avoid Solana and Ethereum like the plague. But we figured it out. We got it done.
Hell yeah.
So maybe slide into my DMs on X and tell me which Discord we're in, because I think I just tried what's it called, the wallet verification, Collabland. I'm familiar with Collabland, but I think I need more than just one delusional.
One should still get you access to the first voice channel. If you have 5, it opens up the one where like it's a little more active. That's where like you'll find me, Stu, and Mello most of the time. I mean, I'll try to hang out in the one delusional one just to kind of bring people in. But like if we're like really working, we're in the one that has 5. And then there's another one for 10. That's people who use the trigger trader. That's got you'll have access to Lavanda occasionally, but not all the time. But if you're in there,
all right, rock on.
I'll find you. I'll make sure you at least have the one voice channel.
Okay, appreciate you guys. Keep on keeping on. We'll see you later.
I might upload this episode to my Spotify and YouTube if you guys are okay with it too.
Yeah, man, split it with me. Send me a check. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm cool
when
with
it
that.
comes, it's split like the speakers, and depending on how much they spoke and all of those things. But that's in the future. That's on the timeline.
I'll catch up.
Keep my share. Keep my share and use it to buy quad.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Oh, that's a good idea, actually. You know what, Matt? If you're around in the morning, I'd love to have you on my show so we can talk about that, because I did a little more research and I really like it. And now that you just had me, yeah, I'm interested. So we'll give you a platform to maybe get some other people if it helps you. If not, I'll hit you in the DMs and we can talk in the Discord or something.
Yeah. No, totally down. That's my role over here. Spread the word, proselytize. Let's replace the U.S. dollar, guys. It's about time.
Amen.
Humanity deserves incorruptible money. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that very soon. Uh, like before the system crashes, like gold. Like soon, I reached my goal of doing something else, so now I can start stacking up on either gold or Bitcoin. I haven't decided. I'm gonna go all in on one of them and then go to the next one that the goal is achieved on one of them. So it might actually be Bitcoin and reach a roof there, a goal,
Well,
and then
now's a
go to
good time.
gold.
Now's a good time.
Yeah,
Just stock market's not looking pretty right now. People are saying we're going to get a Black Thursday tomorrow.
yeah,
So
that's
maybe
true.
we'll see some things. Yeah,
Bitcoin
maybe we'll
sounds
see
the
some
best one.
things. Yeah, they might rotate into Bitcoin. My friends are not holding their breath for that though. They think we're. Anyways, I'm delaying the space. Really appreciate you guys. I'll keep my eyes peeled for DMs.
That's awesome, G. Appreciate you for pulling up, brother Matt, Doc, Round, and V. Shout out to you guys for pulling up today. I wish you guys a fantastic rest of your day or night. And I will catch you guys next time. Remember, God cannot be mocked. That which a man sows, so shall he also reap. Walk with truth, walk with power. And I'll see you guys in the Discord. See you guys.